sifted and the vegetation comes in and stabilizes that stream. Along the sides, you see what looks like dunes. That's the morainal material that was deposited when the ice melted back. And in just another second or so, you are going to see the glacier still sitting in the U-shaped valley up at the top of that inlet. The way that temperate glaciers carve these deep fjords, these U-shaped valleys that are filled with salt water, is not just by the ice and the rock, but also by those meltwater streams that are continually cutting down through the bedrock. So again, if you look off the starboard side, you will see the glacier sitting in the U-shaped valley. You will see the V gouge in the bottom of that U-shaped valley that's been carved by the meltwater stream. And you'll see all of the rock and mud that has been deposited, all of those loose dune material, that is the morainal material that the glacier carved from the mountain, that it just dropped as it melted back. Huge mountain of rock and mud, the Marjorie Glacier falls off a cliff. It's considered a hanging glacier, a glacier that's hanging off a cliff. Doesn't look like it from here, but that glacier hangs off a cliff that's about 100 feet below the surface of the water. So this glacier stays the same length, even though it's being fed a considerable amount of ice from Mount Fairweather. It can't get any longer because it doesn't have the rock and mud in front of it to fill in the inlet and push the water out. When I first started working here in the mid-90s, the Grand Pacific Glacier, the dark one, was very close to the Marjorie Glacier. We thought if the Grand Pacific could only get a mile longer, it could use its moraine and the Marjorie Glacier could feed it ice, and that glacier would be able to get longer and longer. But the story of climate change is a story of ice melting. We are definitely, as a planet, in the meltdown phase. All of the glaciers in Glacier Bay, whose sources are a lot lower than 9,000 feet in elevation, are losing ice. The only glaciers that you have seen today that are staying the same length, and one is getting longer. So, Marjorie Glacier stays the same length, and the Johns Hopkins Glacier, which comes down also from some of the tallest peaks, is getting fed enough ice to actually increase in length. All the rest of the glaciers are melting. All the rest of the glaciers are thinning. And it's the glaciers in the mountains that researchers think will be disappearing most quickly, probably within the next 10 to 20 years. So we are seeing the effects of climate change here, even though some of the glaciers are still maintaining their length. It's nothing like what it was just 50 years ago.